Lisa and Cynthia work at the Lux Atlantic Hotel in Miami, where Lisa is on leave. Cynthia frequently contacts Lisa to discuss guests and concerns. The following day, Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security Charles Keefe will arrive. Lisa rushes to Dallas for a red-eye flight back to Miami, Florida, following her grandmother's burial. Her father, Joe, resides in Miami after their divorce. While in line at the airport, Lisa gives her self-help book to an older woman who appears to be a fan of the author. She meets Jackson Ripner, who is also visiting Miami. They have a drink at the airport bar and make light chat while waiting to board. Lisa is surprised to see Jackson sitting next to her. After takeoff, his pleasant manner abruptly becomes menacing when he tells her that he is employed by a domestic terrorist group that has plans to kill the current U.S. Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, Charles Keefe. Lisa's work as hotel manager is critical to their plan. Ripner instructs Lisa to move the Keefe family to a specific room in anticipation of a missile strike from a harbor boat. Her father, Joe, will be executed if this doesn't happen. Jackson shows Lisa the wallet that Joe had taken as proof. Lisa tries more than once to put off making the call. Lisa won't make contact until she has confirmation that her father is okay. Jackson answers the phone and then hangs up as Lisa tells Joe a few lines. The elderly woman approaches Lisa for small talk after the blonde woman calls Jackson to help with her suitcase. Before Jackson gets back, Lisa takes the book and writes something down. Jackson saw everything. Upon returning to his seat, he gives Lisa a headbutt. Jackson then approaches the old woman who is dozing off in her chair and gets the book for her. During turbulence, Lisa connects with Cynthia, but faces interruptions in her instructions. Jackson discovers cut-off calls and attempts to finish the call. Lisa heads to the restroom. She secretly writes, 18F has bomb on the mirror. Jackson breaks in. He wipes off the writing. Lisa is advised not to risk her father's life. In due course, Lisa contacts Cynthia, a co-worker, and instructs her to relocate the Keefe family to the designated suite. Until the assassination is verified, Jackson won't cancel the hitman who is waiting outside Joe's house. Lisa had a severe assault 2 years ago, leaving her a scar as a reminder. She refuses to let it happen to her again. As the plane landed in Miami, she stabbed Jackson in the throat with a ballpoint pen. Lisa escaped the plane as soon as it connected to the gate. Jackson removes the pen from his throat and follows after Lisa. Once outside, Lisa proceeds to the airport's exit, where she steals an SUV. Cynthia is instructed to warn Keefe and his family and leave the hotel suite. Just before a missile hits the chamber, Cynthia, the Keefes, and U.S. Secret Service agents depart from it. The cell phone's battery dies when Lisa tries to phone her father. She rushes home to see how things are looking outside. The hitman raises his gun at her as soon as she spots him. She hits him by stepping on the gas, and her car smashes into the home. The hitman is unconscious. Her father, Joe, emerges from the chaos and dials 911. Lisa is relieved to see him safe. Jackson shows up at Lisa's house. He puts Joe unconscious. He chases Lisa throughout the home. Lisa finds Joe in the kitchen. She relocates him to a safer area of the house. Jackson finds Lisa. As they fight, he pushes her down the stairs. Lisa finds her way to the hitman's gun. She takes a shot at Jackson. After getting shot and stabbed, Jackson is determined to take Lisa down. As Lisa struggles to get away, Joe appears, holding the weapon, ending Jackson's relentless pursuit. After this wild red-eye trip, Lisa returns to work at the hotel. Keefe thanks both Lisa and Cynthia for saving him and his family.
What are the odds of finding your soulmate after a 28 years marriage ends in betrayal? Grace Waters defies these odds and discovers her soulmate. Shortly after, she finds herself held in custody, awaiting trial for the murder of her newly wedded husband, Shannon. Jasmine is a public defender. With a limited budget for the trial, her boss, Rory frequently assigned Jasmine with the task that became her specialty, securing a plea deal. After meeting with Grace, Jasmine is taken back. Grace embodies the quintessential picture of propriety. Grace maintains her guilt and insists on the plea deal, with the condition that she serves her sentence in a prison close to her son, Malcolm. A gut feeling tells Jasmine that Grace is innocent. Encouraged by her colleagues and police husband Jordan, Jasmine decides to defend Grace. She looks into the case and discovers a crucial detail. The husband's body was missing from the crime scene. Jasmine located Grace's best friend Sarah. She notices Sarah living with an elderly woman, Alice. Sarah tells Jasmine she went to visit Grace's house that day, and no one was home. Jasmine revisits Grace, pressing her to share her story. Despite Grace's initial reluctance, witnessing Jasmine's determination to defend her prompts Grace to share her story. Grace, shattered and questioning her worth after her husband's infidelity and subsequent marriage to a younger woman. She attends an art gallery exhibition encouraged by her best friend Sarah. It's there that she meets Shannon. He wears a one-of-a-kind pendant from East Africa. Shannon is a charming and thoughtful photographer who captivates her. Initially, Grace is guarded and skeptical of Shannon's interest in her, especially considering their age difference. Shannon's persistent pursuit gradually breaks down her walls. As a middle-aged woman after divorce, Grace didn't think she would feel butterflies and experience feelings of care and love. She finds herself falling in love with Shannon, convinced he is her soulmate. Just 3 months later, Shannon proposed to her, and they got married. Rediscovering happiness, Grace finds herself in a similar situation as her niece, Risa Tisa. Late at night, Grace catches Shannon speaking to someone on the phone. She notices a change in Shannon's behavior, observing him becoming increasingly cruel and secretive. At the bank where Grace works, she was called into the conference room. $400K was missing from her client's accounts. She needs to pay the money back or get sent to jail. She was terminated immediately. Grace confides in Sarah, unable to explain any of this. Shannon arrives home, explaining he was secretly helping a nurse with cancer, doing a photo shoot. Shannon was concerned with Grace's situation. They try to figure out who stole her identity. Grace called the police, but they weren't much help. At the bank, she discovers a mortgage taken out a month ago, leaving her behind on her current payments. Grace notes down the address on the documents. Grace went to Sycamore Street, finding an abandoned house with piled mail. Determined to uncover the truth, she returned to the bank to request video surveillance footage. Returning home, Grace confronts Shannon, showing him the footage. Despite the evidence, Shannon continues to deny the truth, growing aggressive when Grace demands her money back. Realizing she's been conned and facing financial ruin, Grace seeks legal recourse. Sarah recommends a civil lawyer, but Grace learns it will cost $10,000 and could take up to 2 years to take Shannon to court. Matters escalated when Grace discovers Shannon in bed with another woman at her house. Overwhelmed with shock and a sense of foolishness, Grace couldn't comprehend how she allowed this betrayal to happen. Shannon, displaying his lack of respect, gloats in front of Grace, further degrading and gaslighting her, suggesting women her age are easy targets. In a surge of rage, Grace repeatedly struck Shannon with a baseball bat, before pushing him down the stairs into the basement. In a state of distress, Grace fled the scene, eventually contacting her best friend Sarah from a remote location to confess to the killing. Upon Sarah's arrival at the house, Grace was informed there was no body. Later, Jasmine speaks with Sarah again and learns that she saw Grace's son, Malcolm, leaving the scene. This revelation explains Grace's determination to plead guilty to protect her son. Rory pressures Jasmine to persuade Grace to accept a plea deal. Despite her boss's insistence, Jasmine decides to defy him. Encouraged by Jasmine, Grace chooses to take her case to trial. During the trial, Sarah is called as a witness, and phone call records between her and Grace on the night of the murder are presented as evidence. Sarah eventually admits on the stand that Grace confessed to killing Shannon to her. The jury finds Grace guilty, and Rory terminates Jasmine's employment. As Grace is escorted away, she notices Sarah is wearing a pendant identical to one that Shannon owned. Reflecting on her relationship with Shannon and Sarah, Grace realizes there may be more to the situation than meets the eye. She insists on contacting her lawyer. Jasmine wants to speak to Sarah again. Jordan drops her off. Jasmine encounters the elderly woman named Alice, who was living with Sarah. Concerned for Alice's safety, Jasmine brings her to Sarah's house. Alice expresses her desire to go back to her own home on Sycamore Street. Fearing for her life and not wanting to meet the same fate as others who have died in Sarah's residence. Shocked by the revelation, Jasmine discovers numerous elderly women locked up in the basement before she is abducted herself. Meanwhile, Jordan uncovers Sarah's criminal past and begins searching for his missing wife. Jordan rushes to Sarah's house. When he questions Sarah about Jasmine's whereabouts, she denies any knowledge. Jordan calls his wife. He hears Jasmine's phone ringing inside the house, prompting him to break in. A struggle ensues. He quickly handcuffs Sarah. Jordan heads down to the basement to look for Jasmine. Sarah took the chance to flee. He soon finds Jasmine tied up to a chair, and Shannon appears in the dark. Jordan and Shannon engage in an altercation. Jasmine frees herself. In the chaos, Jordan drops his gun. Jasmine picks it up and shoots Shannon. The elderly women were rescued by the police. A shocking revelation unfolds. Sarah and Shannon are actually mother and son criminals, Betty and Morris Miles. For over 25 years in several states, they've been orchestrating a scheme, kidnapping elderly women for their social security information and swindling middle-aged women. At the final hearing, Jasmine's presentation of new evidence successfully defends Grace, revealing her as a victim rather than a perpetrator. With her innocence proven, Grace is granted her freedom. Rory reinstated Jasmine's job. Meanwhile, Betty remains at large, fleeing from the authorities. She assumes a new identity. She is on to her next prey at the nursing home. For upcoming content, click like, pound that subscribe, and hit notification. Thank you for watching.